Before the day truly begins, before footsteps echo along dirt roads and doors open to the morning air, there is a quiet moment in 1820s America when the world feels gently paused. The sky is pale and wide, stretching over fields, small towns, and scattered homes. A thin mist rests low over the land, softening the edges of fences and trees. The air is cool and still, carrying the faint scent of damp earth and wood smoke left behind from the night. This is America in the 1820s. Not loud, not hurried, but slow and steady, shaped by routine and silence. If calm journeys into early American life help you relax and fall asleep, take a moment now to subscribe, like this video, and leave a quiet comment. You are listening to Stories of America, where history is told gently, one peaceful night at a time. You are inside a modest wooden home, simple and sturdy, built to last through seasons rather than impress the eye. The walls are thick, the beams exposed, darkened slightly by years of hearth smoke. A small window lets in the first light of dawn, just enough to soften the shadows in the room. A heavy quilt rests over you, warm and familiar. You wake slowly, not because of noise, but because the morning has arrived. Somewhere outside, a bird calls once, then the sound dissolves into the quiet. The floor is cool beneath your feet as you rise. The boards respond with a low creak, shaped by many mornings like this one. Near the hearth, ash lies still and pale, holding the memory of warmth from the night before. You kneel and gently brush the ash aside. Beneath it, a faint ember glows, steady and patient. You place thin pieces of wood around it with care. A breath of air, a spark. The fire begins to wake, slowly, without urgency. As the flame grows, the room takes shape. A small table worn smooth by years of use. Shelves holding simple dishes. A coat hanging near the door, heavy and practical. Everything has its place, and nothing feels unnecessary. Outside, the light grows stronger. The land beyond the window begins to show itself clearly. Fields stretching outward, fences standing quiet and straight. The day has begun, not with force, but with calm certainty. And you step into this morning gently, ready to live one quiet day in 1820s America, where time moves slowly and rest comes easily. The fire settles into a soft, steady glow, offering warmth without asking for attention. You remain near the hearth for a moment, hands open to the heat, watching the flame move gently, never sharp, never hurried. The sound it makes is low and familiar, like a quiet companion to the morning. An iron kettle waits nearby. You lift it, feeling its solid weight, and fill it with cool water drawn the evening before. When you place it beside the fire, it rests there patiently, warming in its own time. Nothing in this room moves quickly. Nothing needs to. You open the door just enough to let fresh air drift inside. Morning greets you with coolness and the clean scent of earth and grass. Outside, the land is still calm. A dirt road runs past the house, empty for now, its surface darkened slightly by dew. Beyond it, fields stretch wide, their edges softened by the last traces of mist. You dress slowly, pulling on simple clothes made for work and weather. The fabric is worn but clean, understanding the shape of your body as if it remembers you. Each piece settles into place without thought. When you step outside, the morning feels wide and open. The sky has lightened to a gentle blue, and the sun sits low, its warmth mild and welcoming. A fence line cuts across the land, rails straight and steady. Somewhere in the distance, a rooster calls, then falls silent again. You walk a short distance from the house, boots pressing softly into the ground. The grass is cool beneath your steps, and the air feels fresh and full. A bird lifts from a nearby tree, wings moving quietly before disappearing into the open sky. Back inside, the kettle begins to whisper. You pour the hot water carefully and sit at the table with a simple cup held between your hands. Steam rises gently, carrying a faint, comforting scent. You sip slowly, letting the warmth travel through you, grounding the morning. Light continues to fill the room, touching the table, the walls, the familiar objects that make this space feel complete. Outside, the land remains calm, waiting for the day to unfold. This is how mornings begin here. Not with urgency, but with patience. And as the sun climbs a little higher, you move with it, ready for the quiet routines that will carry you gently through the day. The cup empties slowly, and you rinse it with care, setting it upside down to dry. The small sound of tin touching wood is soft and final, like closing a thought without disturbing the quiet around you. You remain at the table a moment longer, watching the fire settle and listening to the morning outside. The house is simple, but it holds comfort in the way everything has its place. A shelf with a few clay bowls, a small crock with salt, a folded cloth hanging from a peg. The floorboards carry faint marks from years of use, scuffed gently by boots and chairs, polished smooth in certain spots by time. You rise and move through small tasks that keep the day steady. You wipe the table once with a cloth, folding it neatly when you're done. You straighten a chair, you check the bucket near the door, and refill it if it has grown too low. Each action is quiet, practiced, calm. Outside, the yard is brighter now. Dew still clings to the grass, catching the light in tiny points that shine and vanish as you move. Near the edge of the yard, a chicken scratches at the ground, pecking once, then stepping away, unbothered. Farther off, a neighbor's smoke rises faintly into the clear sky. You walk toward the woodpile and select a few pieces of split log. The bark is rough beneath your fingers, the cut sides pale and clean. The smell of wood is sharp and honest. You carry the pieces inside and stack them neatly near the hearth, setting them down with a dull, solid sound that feels grounding. The morning air remains cool, but the sun has begun to warm the land. You step to the pump and work the handle slowly. It squeaks softly, then water spills into the bucket with a clear sound. You pause to watch the surface ripple, then grow still again. When you carry the bucket back inside, the weight is steady in your arm. The water sloshes gently, not enough to spill, only enough to remind you of its presence. You set it down in its familiar place and take a slow breath, tasting the clean air. The day is now fully awake, but it does not rush. It opens in quiet layers, and you move through them with the same calm rhythm, letting routine guide you forward into the long, gentle hours ahead. With the house settled and the morning tasks gently completed, you step outside again and let the light rest on your face. The sun has climbed a little higher now, warming the fence rails and drawing the last mist out of the fields. The air smells of damp soil turning slowly toward dryness, of grass, of wood, and faint smoke drifting from chimneys scattered across the countryside. You walk toward the small barn or shed nearby, the ground firm beneath your boots. The path is worn smooth from many days, a simple line pressed into the earth by steady footsteps. Birds move in the trees, not in flurries, only in quiet shifts, and their calls come softly, spaced out with long stretches of silence between them. Inside the barn, the air is cooler and shaded. It holds the scent of hay and timber. A horse stands calmly in its stall, head turning slightly as you enter. Its eyes are relaxed, its breath slow. You move close and rest a hand against its neck, feeling warmth beneath the coat, a steady living presence in the still morning. Feed is measured and poured into the trough. The sound is soft, grain against wood. The horse lowers its head and begins to eat without haste. You check the water bucket, adjust it, and run your hand along a strap of leather hanging nearby, ensuring it lies flat and ready. These small checks are part of the day's quiet order. When you step back outside, sunlight meets you again. The yard is now bright and clear. Shadows from the porch posts fall in neat lines across the ground. A light breeze passes, brushing the grass and leaving it moving gently, then still again. You walk along the fence line at an easy pace, not searching for trouble, only noticing. The rails are warm in places where the sun touches them. The posts stand steady. At one point, you pause where a rail sits slightly loose. You set your hand against it, press gently, and feel it shift. You kneel, brush away a bit of grass at the base, and slide the rail back into place. From your pocket, you take a small wooden wedge, tapping it in with the heel of your hand. The sound is dull and brief. When you test the rail again, it holds firm. You stand, stretch your fingers slowly, and look out across the field. The land lies open and patient. A breeze moves across it in a soft wave, bending the grasses, then releasing them. It is steady work, quiet work, the kind that leaves the mind peaceful. And when you turn back toward home, the morning feels complete, ready to flow gently into the next calm portion of the day. The sun continues its slow rise, and with it comes a feeling of settled purpose, not urgency, only gentle direction. You return to the house and pause at the doorway for a moment, letting your eyes move across the land once more. The fields lie open and calm. The road remains quiet, holding only the soft marks of wagon wheels from earlier days. Inside, the warmth from the hearth lingers. You add a small piece of wood, not to build a strong fire, only to keep the room comfortable. The flame answers with a low crackle, then settles again, content to burn slowly. You prepare a simple mid-morning meal. Bread is cut carefully, each slice even and familiar. Perhaps a small portion of preserved food is added, nothing elaborate, only what is needed. You sit at the table and eat slowly, letting each bite be unhurried. Between bites, you listen to the quiet of the house and the faint sounds drifting in through the open door. Outside, the countryside stirs gently. A wagon passes far off, its wheels sounding dull and distant against the road. The noise fades quickly, leaving the air clear again. A bird lands briefly on the fence rail, tilts its head, then lifts away without sound. When the meal is finished, you clear the table and rinse what needs rinsing. Water runs softly over your hands, cool and clean. You dry them and hang the cloth back in its place, smoothing it once before letting it fall. The late morning stretches ahead, wide and unpressured. You take a seat near the window, where sunlight spills across the floorboards. Dust drifts lazily through the beam of light, moving so slowly it feels almost still. You rest your hands in your lap and let your breathing deepen, matching the quiet rhythm of the day. Nothing demands your attention at this moment. The work is done for now. The land is settled. The house is warm. Time feels generous, as if it has slowed itself on purpose. And in this calm pause, late morning in 1820s, America holds you gently, preparing the way for the long, peaceful hours that will follow.
After the quiet pause by the window, you rise slowly, feeling the calm of the morning still resting in your body. The day is not waiting impatiently. It is simply there, open and steady, ready to be filled with small, ordinary work. You step outside again and walk toward the garden patch beside the house. The soil is darker where it still holds moisture, lighter where the sun has begun to dry it. Leaves shine faintly in the light, some still carrying tiny beads of dew that sparkle when you shift your position. You kneel and begin to loosen the earth gently with your fingers or a small tool. The soil gives easily, cool beneath the surface. You pull a few weeds that have appeared, their roots releasing with a soft tug. Each small correction feels quiet and satisfying, as if you are smoothing the day itself. A chicken wanders nearby, pecking once at the ground, then stepping away. It makes no fuss. It simply exists, sharing the morning with you in its own calm way. When you stand, you take a slow breath and look toward the road. The countryside remains peaceful, but you can sense the village beyond your land beginning to wake more fully. not with noise, only with a gradual increase in small, distant sounds. You decide to walk toward town for a simple errand, something small that belongs naturally to a day like this. You put on a hat, take a small satchel, and step onto the road. The dirt beneath your boots is firm, pressed smooth by years of use. The edges of the road are lined with grass and weeds, their tops moving slightly in the breeze. As you walk, fields stretch wide on either side, fences tracing gentle boundaries. The sky above feels open and bright, and the sun warms your shoulders without pressing too hard. A wagon appears in the distance, moving slowly, its wheels turning with a steady rhythm. The horse pulling it looks calm, head lowered slightly. When it passes, the driver lifts a hand in quiet greeting. You nod in return. The moment is brief, simple, and then the wagon continues on, fading into the distance. The walk itself feels like part of the restfulness of the day. Each step is unhurried, each breath is calm. And as you near the outskirts of town, you can sense the gentle presence of other lives moving through their own routines, steady and quiet just like yours. The town appears gradually, not in a sudden burst, but in a soft gathering of signs. First, a fence line that gives way to more frequent paths. Then a cluster of trees trimmed back near the road. Then, at last, a few buildings set closer together, their shapes modest and practical. The streets here are still quiet in the late morning. A few doors stand open. Smoke rises from chimneys in thin, steady lines. The air carries a mix of scents: fresh-cut wood, damp earth, and something warm from a nearby kitchen, perhaps bread or broth. You walk at the same calm pace, passing a small shop where goods are kept simple and useful. A barrel stands outside, its metal bands dark against the wood. A broom leans by the doorway. Inside, the shop is dimmer than the outside light, shelves lined with ordinary necessities. You step in and exchange a few quiet words with the shopkeeper. Their voice is low and steady, matching the tone of the day. Coins pass from hand to hand. A small purchase is wrapped and given to you. Nothing feels hurried. There is no need for performance here, only quiet transaction. When you step back outside, you notice the town's gentle movements. A child walks by carrying something light, careful not to drop it. A woman stands near a doorway, speaking softly to someone just inside. A man adjusts a harness strap on a horse, hands working slowly, practiced and calm. The sounds of town are not loud. They are softened by distance and by the pace everyone keeps. A hammer taps once, then stops. A cartwheel turns slowly along the road. A voice calls out briefly, then fades. You walk a little farther, not for any urgent reason, only to let the town be part of your day. The buildings are plain, built from wood and stone, weathered but solid. Windows are small. Roof lines are simple. Everything looks made to last through seasons rather than to impress. For a moment, you pause at a spot where you can see beyond town, where the land opens again into fields. The view reminds you how small the town is compared to the wide countryside, how life here is stitched together from quiet routines and steady work. When you turn back toward home, the purchase rests lightly in your satchel. The road ahead feels familiar and calm. The day continues to unfold, and you carry the town's quiet presence with you as you walk, letting late morning drift gently toward midday. The walk back from town feels even slower, as if the land itself is encouraging you to take your time. The road stretches gently ahead, pale under the midday sun, its surface worn smooth by years of passing feet and wheels. With each step, dust rises lightly, then settles again, untroubled. Fields lie open on either side, their grasses moving softly when the breeze passes through. Fence posts cast short shadows now, steady and quiet. Somewhere nearby, an insect hums briefly, then stops, leaving the air still once more. As you walk, the sounds of town fade behind you. The soft voices, the cartwheels, the small signs of shared life all dissolve into distance. Ahead, your home waits in the open land, modest and familiar, its roof catching the sunlight, its walls holding the calm of the morning. When you reach the yard, you pause near the gate and rest your hand against the wood. It feels warm now, sun-soaked and solid. You open it slowly and step inside, letting it close behind you with a quiet, final sound. Inside the house, the air is cooler. The hearth has settled again, embers resting low. You set your satchel down and remove the small purchase from town, placing it where it belongs. Everything finds its place easily, without thought. You prepare a simple midday meal, nothing elaborate. Water warms, bread is set out. Perhaps a bit of what you brought back is added. The sounds are minimal, the motions familiar. When you sit to eat, sunlight reaches the table and rests there, steady and warm. You eat slowly, letting the quiet return fully. Outside, the land holds its calm. No one passes on the road. No voices carry on the air. Only the distant call of a bird and the soft movement of leaves mark the passage of time. When the meal is finished, you clear the table and rinse what needs rinsing. The water feels cool against your hands. You dry them and stand for a moment, breathing in the steady comfort of the space around you. Midday has arrived, full and gentle. The sun stands high, the land rests open and bright, and the hours ahead feel long and unhurried, ready to carry you deeper into the quiet heart of the day.
The afternoon begins to arrive not with a change you can point to, but with a feeling. A soft shift in the air and the light. The sun remains strong, but it no longer feels like it is climbing. It feels steady now, settled, as if it has found its place and intends to stay there for a while. You step outside and let the warmth touch your face. The yard is quiet, the grass now mostly dry, its color brighter under the sun. Shadows are short and close to objects, gathered beneath fence rails and porch posts. Everything looks still, and yet everything feels alive. You walk slowly toward the garden again, carrying a small pail. The soil is warmer now at the surface, but still cool if you press your fingers down. You check the rows and gather a few vegetables that are ready, not many, only what can be used soon. Their surfaces feel firm and cool in your hand, and you place them into the pail one by one with quiet care. Back inside, you rinse them in a basin. Water beads and runs down their sides, catching the light before slipping away. The simple sight of clean water and fresh produce feels steady and reassuring, like something that has always belonged to this life. Afterward, you sit near the window with a small task in your hands. A seam needs another stitch. A loose thread needs to be tied off. You thread the needle slowly, guiding the thread through the eye with patient fingers. The cloth rests on your lap, warm in the sunlight. Your hands move in a calm rhythm, in and out, in and out. The motion is quiet enough to feel like breathing. Outside, the countryside holds its soft sounds. A distant wagon far off, barely heard, leaves shifting gently in the breeze. A bird calling once, then silence. When you finish the stitch, you smooth the cloth with your palm and set it aside. The small work feels complete, satisfying in a quiet way, as if you have made the day a little smoother without anyone needing to notice. You lean back slightly in your chair and let your eyes rest on the view beyond the window. The road remains empty. The field beyond it lies open and bright. Time feels wide and slow, and the afternoon stretches ahead like an unbroken piece of cloth, ready to be folded gently toward evening when the moment comes. The warmth of the afternoon settles around you like a light blanket. It does not press or weigh you down. It simply exists, steady and calm, filling the spaces between sounds and movements. You rise from the chair slowly and step outside once more, drawn by the open air and the feeling of space the day offers. The yard rests in quiet balance. The fence lines hold their shape. The barn stands still, its door partly open, shadows resting inside. A breeze passes through the grass, bending it slightly, then letting it return to stillness. You stand for a moment and let the air move around you, cool against your skin where the sun does not reach. You walk toward a shaded spot near the side of the house and sit for a while, resting against the warm wood of the wall. From here, you can see the road and the fields beyond it, the land stretching outward without interruption. Nothing moves quickly. Nothing demands attention. A distant wagon rolls along the road far away, its sound soft and low. You hear it for a moment, then it fades, leaving the afternoon quiet again. An insect hums nearby, its sound steady, then stops just as suddenly, as if it has completed its task. You close your eyes briefly and listen. The quiet is not empty. It is filled with small, gentle details. The faint rustle of leaves, the soft creak of wood as the house settles, your own breathing, slow and even. When you open your eyes, the light has shifted just slightly. The sun is still high, but it no longer feels centered. Shadows have begun to stretch again, lengthening slowly across the yard. The afternoon is beginning to lean toward evening, though there is no rush to reach it. You rise and move back inside, tending the hearth just enough to keep the room comfortable. The embers glow faintly, and you add a small piece of wood that catches without flame, offering warmth without sound. The house feels calm and steady. Everything is in place. Outside, the land remains open and quiet, and the long afternoon continues to unfold, slow and gentle, carrying you forward toward the softer hours ahead. The afternoon light softens as it passes through the window, no longer bright and direct, but warm and angled. It rests across the floorboards in long, quiet shapes, revealing the grain of the wood and the small marks left by years of steady use. The room feels peaceful, held gently between day and evening. You take a moment to prepare for the later hours, not with urgency, but with the calm understanding that evening comes the same way every day. Water is drawn again, the bucket filling with a clear, steady sound. You set it near the hearth, where it will be ready when needed. Outside, the land has grown quieter. Birds are less active now, resting somewhere out of sight. The breeze has softened, and the grass moves only slightly, as if breathing more slowly. The road remains empty, its pale surface stretching calmly toward the horizon. You sit at the table and begin preparing a simple evening meal. Vegetables are cut carefully, one at a time. The knife moves slowly, its sound gentle against the board. Nothing is rushed. Each motion feels deliberate, practiced, almost meditative. The pot warms near the hearth, and soon a faint steam begins to rise. The smell is mild and comforting, filling the room without overwhelming it. You stir once, then let it rest, trusting the steady heat to do its work. As the food cooks, you stand by the window again and look out across the fields. The sun has lowered further now, and its light has taken on a deeper color, warmer and richer. Shadows stretch long across the ground, touching fence posts and grass alike. You feel a quiet satisfaction settle within you. The day has been full, though nothing dramatic has happened. Work has been done. Meals have been shared quietly with yourself. The land has been tended, and the house has held steady. Evening approaches slowly, without ceremony, and you move with it, calm and ready, allowing the peaceful rhythm of life in 1820s America to guide you gently toward the night ahead. The pot continues its patient simmer near the hearth, and the room fills with a steady, comforting warmth. The scent of the meal is simple and honest, rising softly with the steam and settling into the wood of the house as if it belongs there. You lift the lid once, just briefly, and the warm breath that escapes feels like the gentlest kind of invitation. You stir slowly, watching the surface shift in quiet circles. Then you let the spoon rest and step outside again, drawn by the changing light. Evening has begun to take shape across the land. The sky is still bright, but it has softened, as if the day is lowering its voice. The sun sits closer to the horizon now, and the warmth it gives feels calmer, less direct. The air cools slightly, and with it comes the clean scent of grass and earth settling into night. A few birds call from the trees, not in the lively way of morning, but in spaced, quiet notes. Their sounds drift across the field and fade, leaving behind a deeper stillness. Somewhere far off, you hear the faint sound of a door closing, then nothing more. You walk slowly along the edge of the yard. Fence rails glow softly where the sun touches them, golden and warm. Shadows stretch long across the grass, reaching toward the house. The road beyond remains empty, and it looks almost pale in the lowering light, like a ribbon laid gently across the land. When you return inside, the room feels darker by comparison, but warmer. The hearthlight begins to matter more now, shaping the space with gentle orange tones. You set out a bowl and cup on the table, placing them carefully, as if each sound should remain quiet. You ladle the meal into the bowl. Steam rises in slow curls, pale against the dim room. You sit and eat without hurry, letting each bite warm you. The taste is plain, nourishing, comforting. Between bites, you listen to the faint crackle of embers, the soft settling of the house, the quiet breath of evening outside. When you are finished, you rinse the bowl and pot gently, water cooling your hands. You set everything aside neatly, leaving the table clear again. The day feels as if it is folding itself away, one calm movement at a time. Evening has arrived fully now, and the world outside grows quieter. The night is coming, steady and patient, and you allow yourself to move with it, unhurried, ready for rest. The light outside continues to fade, turning the fields into softer shapes. The sky shifts from warm gold to muted blue, then toward gray, as if evening is gently drawing a curtain across the land. The air cools again, and you can feel the first quiet dampness returning to the grass. Inside, the hearth holds a low glow, and you light an oil lamp. The flame catches with a soft warmth, and at once the room becomes smaller and more intimate. Corners deepen into shadow. The table and walls take on an amber softness. The simple objects around you, bowls, cups, the hanging coat, become calm shapes in the gentle light. You move through the house with slow care, putting things in order for the night. A cloth is folded and placed back on its peg. The bucket is checked and set where it will be easy to reach in the morning. The door is closed and barred, not with fear, only with habit. The latch slides into place with a quiet sound, and the house feels complete again, safely held against the night air outside. You wash your hands and face. The water is cool, smoothing away the last warmth of the day. You dry with a clean cloth, and the simple ritual feels like a signal to your body that rest is near. Then you sit near the hearth and do nothing for a while. The fire is low, embers glowing steadily, like a slow heartbeat. The lamp flame stands calm, without flicker. Outside, crickets begin their song, not all at once, but gradually, one chirp, then another, until the sound becomes a steady pattern. It fills the silence without breaking it. You listen to that rhythm and feel your breathing begin to match it. Slow, even, unforced. Your shoulders loosen. Your hands rest easily. Thoughts come and go quietly, drifting through your mind without weight, like smoke rising and dissolving. In the 1820s, night is deep and honest. The darkness outside the windows is complete. There are no bright interruptions, no sudden sounds. Only the steady presence of the land, resting under the wide sky. You remain by the hearth as the hours move gently forward, letting the warmth and the quiet settle deeper into you, preparing you for sleep. When you finally rise from your chair, it is with the slow ease of someone who has nowhere else to be. The lamp throws a warm circle of light across the floor, and beyond it, the room deepens into shadow. The house feels calm, settled, as if it has been waiting for this quiet moment when the day gives way completely. You move toward the bed and set your clothing neatly aside. The fabric is worn soft, shaped by years of use, and it folds easily under your hands. You place everything where it will be ready in the morning, a small act that makes the coming day feel gentler before it even arrives. The quilt lies folded back, thick and familiar. You sit on the edge of the bed and feel the mattress give slightly beneath your weight. The room is cooler here, away from the hearth, but the quilt promises warmth. You lie down slowly and draw it over you, letting it settle in a steady, comforting layer. The weight feels reassuring, like a quiet hand resting across your body. Your breathing deepens and your shoulders relax. For a moment, you remain still and listen. The crickets outside continue their steady song. Somewhere farther off, an owl calls once, a single low note that rises and falls into silence. The sound does not startle. It feels like part of the night's own breath. The fire in the hearth has lowered further now, embers glowing softly. Their light is faint, but it gives the room a gentle warmth. The lamp is still lit, its flame small and calm, and you turn it lower until its glow is barely there. Then you blow it out. Darkness fills the room, but it is not empty darkness. It is full of quiet. A thin stripe of moonlight slips through the window and rests across the floorboards, pale and still. The shapes of the room remain, softened by shadow. Your thoughts begin to slow. The day, with its simple routines and steady work, folds itself away without effort. The road, the fields, the garden, the hearth, all drift gently into memory, leaving your mind clear and calm. The quilt rises and falls with your breathing, and your body grows pleasantly heavy. Sleep moves closer, not rushed, not forced, but natural, like the slow closing of a door. Sleep comes in gentle layers, like a calm fog settling over the fields. At first, you are still aware of the room, the cool air near the window, the faint warmth lingering from the hearth, the weight of the quilt pressing softly against your chest and legs. Then those details begin to blur, not disappearing suddenly, but softening until they feel distant. Your breathing grows slower. Each inhale feels deep and easy, each exhale long and unhurried. The rhythm becomes steady enough that you no longer think about it. It simply happens, like the slow song of crickets outside. The house remains still around you. Wooden beams hold their quiet strength. Floorboards lie silent. The window glass is dark, reflecting only a faint hint of moonlight. Now and then, the home makes a small sound, a soft creak as the wood settles in the night air, but it is gentle and familiar, never sharp, never disturbing. Outside, the countryside rests. Fields lie dark and quiet. The road holds no footsteps, no wheels, only packed earth cooling under the open sky. Trees stand still against the darkness, their leaves barely moving, as if even the wind has slowed. If dreams begin, they arrive softly. They do not pull you into anything dramatic. They are more like impressions than stories. A feeling of warm sunlight on the table, the scent of fresh wood at the pile near the porch, the cool touch of water at the pump. These small memories drift through and dissolve without weight. Time becomes wide and uncounted. There is no sense of minutes passing. The night stretches gently, holding you in its calm silence. Your body relaxes fully, muscles loosening in a deep, comfortable way. Hands rest open, shoulders sink. The face softens. The last embers in the hearth fade further, their glow becoming only a suggestion of warmth. The stones hold the memory of fire, and that memory seems to linger quietly in the room, like a gentle presence. And as your sleep deepens, everything feels steady and safe. The world outside remains quiet. The house remains calm. The night continues without hurry, carrying you further into rest. The night moves forward slowly, so quietly that it feels as if it hardly moves at all. Darkness rests over the land with a gentle weight, and the house holds its stillness, wrapped in the same calm that filled the day. Your sleep deepens. Breathing remains steady, slow, and even, as if your body has found the perfect rhythm and intends to keep it. The quilt stays settled over you, warm and reassuring, rising and falling in the smallest motion with each breath. The air in the room cools by degrees. It is cooler near the window, where the night presses close, and slightly warmer nearer the hearth, where the stones still hold a faint trace of heat. Between these two, the room feels balanced, comfortable, quiet. A small settling sound travels through the wood of the house, a soft creak from a beam, a faint shift in the floor. These sounds are not interruptions. They feel like the home simply adjusting itself, breathing in the night the way the land does outside. Crickets continue their steady pattern, though the chorus has thinned a little, becoming less crowded, more spaced out. Their song feels like a thread running through the darkness, gentle and constant. If you turn in your sleep, it happens slowly, without waking. The quilt shifts with you and then settles back into place, finding its shape again. The mattress holds your body with familiar firmness, supporting you without strain. Dreams remain calm, if they appear at all. They drift like mist, forming softly and fading before they can become anything heavy. A sense of walking down the road in morning light. The sound of water filling a bucket. The sight of fields stretching wide under a pale sky. Simple impressions, quiet and light. Time continues to pass without being noticed. The night remains patient. Your sleep remains deep, smooth and unbroken, held gently by the quiet world of 1820s America resting under the stars. At the deepest part of the night, everything feels even more still. The air outside grows cooler, and the land seems to settle further into itself, as if fields, fences, and trees have all become quieter than before. The darkness feels complete, soft, and wide, covering the countryside without effort. Inside, the room remains calm. The quilt lies heavy and familiar over you, holding warmth close. Your breathing continues its slow, even rhythm, gentle enough that it barely moves the air. The house makes a small sound now and then, a quiet creak as wood adjusts to the coolness. It is brief and familiar, like a gentle reminder that the home is alive in its own quiet way. The sound fades quickly and leaves silence behind it. Outside, the crickets have softened further. Their calls are fewer now, spaced far apart, leaving long stretches of quiet between them. In those quiet spaces, the night feels even deeper, as if nothing is expected to happen at all. Somewhere far off, an owl calls once. The sound rises, low and steady, then falls back into the darkness. It does not disturb. It feels like a natural part of the night, like a slow note held briefly and released. Your sleep remains undisturbed. Thoughts no longer form clearly. Dreams, if they drift through, are faint and shapeless. You sink further into rest, supported by the mattress, held by the quilt, surrounded by the stillness of the house. Time passes without being counted. The night continues on, smooth and unhurried, carrying you gently through its deepest hours, while the world remains calm and quiet. Very slowly, almost without any clear sign, the night begins to loosen its hold. Darkness still fills the room, still presses softly against the window, but its texture changes. It feels lighter somehow, as if the world has begun to breathe differently in preparation for morning. You remain asleep. Your breathing is calm and even, steady as the quiet around you. The quilt rests where it has settled, its weight familiar, its warmth gentle. Nothing calls you toward waking yet. There is no urgency in the air, only a subtle turning of time. Outside, the sky begins its gradual shift. Black softens into deep blue, so dark it is nearly invisible, but different enough to feel. Stars remain overhead, but some begin to fade, withdrawing one by one, making room for what is coming. The land holds its stillness. Fields remain dark. The road lies empty and cool, undisturbed. Fence rails and trees exist as quiet shapes against the thinning night, their outlines barely visible. A faint breeze moves through the yard. It brushes the grass lightly, then settles again. The air carries the clean scent of night moisture and earth, cool and fresh. The smell feels like the first breath of a new day, even though the day has not fully arrived. Inside the house, the wood gives a soft sound, a gentle adjustment as temperature shifts. It is too small to wake you, blending easily into the calm. The house holds steady, sheltering you as the night begins its slow retreat. Sleep remains deep. Dreams, if they pass through, are gentle impressions. A memory of warm light on a table, the sound of water pouring into a bucket, the feel of sun on your shoulders as you walk the road. These impressions drift and dissolve. Morning gathers quietly outside, patient and careful, while you rest in the last soft hours of night. The first true hint of morning arrives not with bright light, but with sound. Somewhere beyond the house, far enough away that it feels distant and gentle, a single bird calls. The note is soft and clear, and it hangs in the cool air for a moment before fading into silence. After it, there is a pause, long and calm, as if the land itself is listening. Inside, you sleep on. Your breathing remains slow and steady. The quilt rises and falls gently with your chest. The room is still dim, but the darkness has begun to soften near the window, turning from black to a quiet gray. Outside, the sky continues to lighten by degrees. The deep blue near the horizon grows paler, and a faint wash of early dawn begins to form. Stars fade one by one, retreating without hurry. The fields remain dark, but their shapes become a little clearer. The fence line stands out slightly more against the land. A second bird answers the first, then another. Their calls are spaced wide apart, leaving long stretches of quiet in between. The sounds feel careful, as if morning is arriving gently, unwilling to disturb those still resting. The air cools and freshens. Dew gathers again on the grass, bending each blade slightly under its weight. The road remains empty, smooth and still, waiting for the first footsteps of the day. Inside the house, the wood settles with a faint creak as the temperature shifts. The sound is familiar and brief. You turn slightly in your sleep, and the quilt adjusts with you, then settles back into place without effort. The window now holds a faint suggestion of light, still soft, still quiet. Morning is forming outside, slowly and patiently, while you remain asleep, held gently in the last calm stretch of night. Light begins to gather beyond the window in a way that feels almost physical, as if dawn has weight and presence. It is still dim, still gentle, but it has direction now, sliding across the land and reaching for the house with slow certainty. Inside, the room remains quiet. The quilt holds warmth close to your body. Your breathing is still slow, but it begins to change slightly, becoming lighter, as if your body is beginning to follow the day back toward waking. Sleep is still strong, yet wakefulness waits nearby, patient and calm. Outside, birds grow a little more confident. Their calls overlap now and then, forming a loose pattern that fills the silence without breaking it. Somewhere farther off, a rooster calls once, clear and measured, then falls silent again, leaving the morning to continue arriving softly. A pale stripe of dawn slips through the window and rests on the floorboards. It reveals the grain of the wood, the faint scuffs left by years of use. Dust floats lazily in the air, turning in the light as if time has slowed to watch it. You shift beneath the quilt. The fabric whispers softly as it moves. Your hand slides across the stitching without thought, fingers brushing the familiar texture. The room feels cool near the window and warmer near the hearthstones, creating a gentle balance that feels comforting. Slowly, your eyes open. At first, you do not move. You simply lie there, looking up into the dim ceiling and listening. The distant birds, the faint settling of wood, the quiet breath of morning outside. You sit up gradually, letting the quilt fall to your lap. Cool air touches your face, fresh and clean. Your mind feels calm and open, as if the night has smoothed it. You stretch slowly, letting your shoulders loosen, letting your body awaken without strain. Your feet find the floor, and the boards answer with a gentle creak as you stand. The day has returned, quiet and steady, and you move toward the hearth with calm familiarity, ready to wake the fire once more. You kneel by the hearth and brush the pale ash aside with slow care. Beneath it, just as you expected, a faint ember still lives, small and steady, glowing like a quiet breath held through the night. You place thin pieces of kindling around it, arranging them gently, trusting the familiar order. A breath of air, a spark. The ember brightens, and a small flame appears, careful at first, then more certain. The fire begins to wake again, offering its warmth back to the room without sound or hurry. As the light grows, the space around you takes shape. The table stands where it always has. The chair rests beside it. The simple shelves hold their few dishes, unchanged. Nothing feels disturbed by the passing night. Everything feels ready. You stand and stretch slowly, feeling warmth reach your hands and face. Outside, the sky has lightened fully now, pale and open. The fields beyond the window begin to show their color again, greens returning softly, fence lines growing clearer in the distance. You step outside and let the morning air meet you. It is cool, fresh, and clean, carrying the scent of damp earth and grass. Dew clings to the ground, sparkling faintly in the early light. The road remains quiet, but it no longer feels asleep. It feels awake and waiting. A bird lifts from the fence and disappears into the open sky. Somewhere farther off, another answers with a single call. The land begins its gentle morning conversation, slow and unforced. You draw water from the pump, the handle moving with a familiar squeak. The bucket fills, rippling once, then growing still. You pause to watch the surface smooth out, reflecting the pale sky above. When you carry the bucket back inside, the weight is steady in your arm. The fire has settled into a gentle flame. The room warms again. Morning has returned completely, not as something new, but as something known. The day begins once more, quiet and open, ready to unfold in the same calm rhythm that carried you through yesterday. You set the bucket in its familiar place and take a slow breath, tasting the morning air that still lingers on your hands and sleeves. The fire holds steady now, its warmth gentle, shaping the room into something soft and welcoming again. You hang the empty satchel from its peg, straighten a cloth on the table, and let the house feel settled for the new day. The kettle is filled and placed near the hearth. It waits quietly, warming as the flame breathes beneath it. You move through small, familiar motions that do not require thought, only presence. You fold the blanket back neatly on the bed. You open the door just enough to let fresh air drift in, and the house seems to inhale. Outside, the yard brightens. Dew shines on the grass, then begins to lift as the sun warms it. The fence rails catch the light. The field beyond looks calm and open, its surface stirred only by the soft movement of a passing breeze. You prepare a simple drink and sit at the table with the cup between your hands. The warmth spreads slowly through your palms. Steam rises gently, carrying a faint scent that feels comforting and steady. You sip without hurry, letting the morning settle into you. A distant wagon rolls along the road far off. It sounds soft and dull, more like a memory than a presence. A bird calls once, then silence returns. The world feels wide and unpressured. You stand and step outside again, walking toward the fence line. The ground is firm beneath your boots, and the air feels fresh, clean, full of quiet. You pause at the fence and rest your hand on the top rail, feeling the rough wood warmed by the sun. For a moment, you simply look out across the land. Nothing dramatic awaits. No rushing, no tension. Only the steady promise of another ordinary day, shaped by routine and calm. The kind of day that begins gently and ends gently, leaving room for rest in every hour. And as you turn back toward the house, the morning feels complete again, as if the cycle of quiet life has found its place and intends to continue, slow and steady, as long as you let it. The morning light grows warmer as the sun climbs just a little higher, not quickly, but with the same patience that has shaped the entire day. The shadows in the yard shorten, pulling back toward the fence posts and the side of the house. The air feels settled now, neither cool nor warm, resting in a comfortable balance. You move through a few more small tasks, not because they must be done immediately, but because they belong naturally to the flow of the morning. You sweep the porch once, the sound of straw against wood soft and rhythmic. Dust lifts briefly, then drifts away, leaving the boards clean and quiet again. Inside, you return the broom to its place and take a moment to stand still. The house feels calm and steady, as if it recognizes the rhythm you've kept since waking. The fire continues to glow gently. The kettle rests warm. Nothing presses for attention. Outside, life moves at a respectful distance. A wagon passes far down the road, its sound low and even. Somewhere beyond the fields, a voice calls out once, then fades. These sounds do not intrude. They pass through the air lightly and leave the quiet intact. You sit again near the window, where sunlight rests across the floorboards. The dust in the air moves slowly, almost lazily, as if time itself has slowed to match the calm of the day. You let your hands rest loosely in your lap and breathe without effort. There is a sense of completeness in this moment. Not because the day is over, but because it is whole. Morning has returned. The land is awake. The house is warm. Everything feels balanced, held gently between beginning and continuation. And as you sit there in the steady light, the quiet of 1820s America surrounds you once more, inviting you to remain within its slow rhythm, where days repeat softly and peace is found in ordinary moments. The day eases forward until the light begins to soften again, not as a sudden change, but as the quiet turning that always comes when afternoon has fully given what it can. The sun lowers its voice, shadows lengthen across the yard, reaching slowly from fence posts and porch rails, stretching over grass that has begun to cool. Inside, the hearth has settled low. You add one small piece of wood, just enough to bring the embers back into a gentle glow. The flame catches slowly, then steadies, and the firelight warms the room in a softer, kinder way than daylight ever does. It makes the walls feel closer. It makes the air feel calm. You wash your hands in cool water and dry them carefully. The simple ritual feels like closing a door quietly, leaving the noise of the day outside, even if the day was never loud. You set everything back where it belongs. The table is cleared. The cup is put away. The house feels orderly and ready for rest. Outside, evening gathers. Crickets begin their steady song again, one by one, until the sound forms a gentle pattern that fills the silence without breaking it. The sky deepens toward blue, then toward gray, and the first stars appear faintly, patient and unchanged. You sit near the hearth for a long while and do nothing at all. The warmth reaches your feet and hands. Your breathing slows naturally. Thoughts drift in and out without weight, like smoke rising and dissolving into the dark. In the 1820s, night is complete. Darkness is honest. It does not flicker with sudden brightness. It simply settles over the land, and the land accepts it. The road outside grows empty. The fields become quiet shapes. Trees stand still against the sky. When you finally move toward bed, everything feels settled. The quilt waits, thick and familiar. You lie down and let it cover you, its weight steady and reassuring. The fire sinks back into embers. The crickets continue. Your thoughts soften, then fade until they become nothing more than quiet, drifting shadows. And as sleep gathers around you, you feel the peaceful certainty of a day lived gently, and the even more peaceful certainty of rest returning, steady and complete.